What if I told you that Germany, the economic powerhouse at the heart of Europe, spent most of its history divided, fragmented, and even erased from the map? The story of how these scattered tribes and kingdoms eventually became one nation is filled with epic battles, cultural revolutions, collapse, and rebirth. Let's take a 5-minute journey through 2,000 years of German history. Long before Germany was ever called a nation, the lands between the Rhine, the Danube, and the Alps were home to early farmers, warriors, and migrating tribes. By the time the Romans pushed north in the 1st century BC, they encountered fierce Germanic tribes who would resist conquest for centuries. The famous defeat of 3 Roman legions at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest in 9 AD stopped Rome's expansion and fixed the frontier along the Rhine and Danube. For centuries, the Germanic peoples lived on Rome's border, trading, fighting, and sometimes serving as Roman soldiers. But when the empire weakened in the 4th and 5th centuries, wave after wave of Germanic tribes swept across Europe. The Visigoths sacked Rome itself, the Vandals marched into Spain and North Africa, and the Angles and Saxons sailed to Britain. Out of this chaos, the Franks rose to power, eventually ruling much of Western Europe under Charlemagne. In the year 800, he was crowned Emperor of the Romans, reviving the idea of a Western empire with its heart in Germany. After Charlemagne's death, his empire was divided, and the eastern part became known as East Francia, the seed of modern Germany. In 962, Otto the Great was crowned Holy Roman Emperor, and for the next 800 years, the Holy Roman Empire defined German lands. But it wasn't a single kingdom. Instead, it was a loose collection of duchies, bishoprics, and free cities, bound together only by the emperor's title. By the late Middle Ages, this fragmentation was clear. Cities like Cologne and Nuremberg flourished in trade. German knights joined crusades, and Gothic cathedrals rose high. But power was scattered among hundreds of rulers. The Golden Bull of 1356 even made it official. Emperors would be elected by 7 princes, not inherited like in other monarchies. Then came Martin Luther. In 1517, the German monk nailed his 95 Theses to a church door, sparking the Protestant Reformation. Thanks to the printing press, his ideas spread like wildfire, splitting the empire along religious lines. The result was over a century of religious conflict, culminating in the 30 Years' War, a catastrophe that killed millions and left much of Germany in ruins. Out of the rubble, 2 German powers began to dominate: Catholic Austria in the south and Protestant Prussia in the north. By the 18th century, Prussia had built a reputation as a disciplined military state under leaders like Frederick the Great, while Austria held on to its vast multi-ethnic empire. Their rivalry would shape German politics for the next 100 years. The French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon upended everything. In 1806, under Napoleon's pressure, the Holy Roman Empire was dissolved after more than a millennium. German nationalism began to stir, and by the mid-1800s, calls for unity grew louder. The revolutions of 1848 failed, but the idea didn't die. It was Prussia, under the leadership of Otto von Bismarck, that finally forced the issue. Through a series of short, sharp wars, first against Denmark, then Austria, and finally France, Prussia united the German states under its king. In 1871, in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, the German Empire was proclaimed with Wilhelm I as Kaiser. For the first time, Germany was a single, unified nation. Within decades, the new empire became an industrial and scientific giant, rivaling Britain and the United States. But under Kaiser Wilhelm II, Germany pursued aggressive policies and built a powerful navy, alarming its neighbors. In 1914, after the assassination of Austria's Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Europe exploded into World War I. Germany fought hard but was defeated, and the Treaty of Versailles left the nation humiliated and burdened with crushing reparations. The fragile Weimar Republic that followed struggled with political chaos and economic crisis. Out of this turmoil rose Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, promising revenge, unity, and glory. By 1939, Hitler's Germany plunged Europe into another world war, unleashing devastation on an unimaginable scale. The Holocaust murdered millions, and by 1945, Germany lay in ruins once again, divided between East and West. For 4 decades, Germany was the front line of the Cold War. West Germany prospered as a democratic state, while East Germany became a Soviet-controlled dictatorship. The Berlin Wall stood as the symbol of this division, until 1989, when mass protests toppled it and Germany reunited the following year. Today, Germany stands as Europe's largest economy and a democratic power that helped shape the European Union. From scattered tribes on Rome's frontier to emperors, reformers, dictators, and finally, a modern republic, Germany's story is one of resilience, reinvention, and transformation. And that assess the remarkable journey of Germany, a land once divided for centuries that finally became a united nation at the heart of Europe.